Well, we have a guest of honor with us here today, besides Rita, and although he needs no presentation by me, I've got to give him a little bit before he gets up here and speaks, and it's General James Livingston, Medal of Honor recipient, and sir, you're the first Medal of Honor recipient that I've ever met, and I think it's unfair to you to lump in you're a Medal of Honor recipient the same as everybody else, because it's not true. And I had the just gracious, God-blessed opportunity to have an hour-and-a-half ride with him last night, and had dinner with him and his wife and my brother, Chris Grimes. And it was an absolute distinguished honor to be in your presence and to hear your wisdom and guidance and direction. As the president of the 2-4 Association, to look back in my rearview mirror while you're talking to me and look at that Medal of Honor underneath your chin and understanding the gravity of the words that you spoke to me. And I want to thank you for that, sir. And I feel the heavy weight of responsibility to charge forward and fix bayonets like you did back in 1968. And this place is going to hold. And so, if you would come up, sir, and say a few words.
Thank you. I'm hoping the table won't turn over, but I'm going to sit down on the table if you will. That's what happens to you when you get to be 86 years old. And been involved with PT a little too much, and been a Marine over the years. But I'll tell you, 2-4, I did spend an hour and a half working out this morning. Did you do that? I'm on the treadmill and I'm over the weight, and otherwise, you gotta keep yourself combat ready. They may get desperate and call us all back up again. So I want all you guys to go out Monday and buy a pair of tennis shoes, okay? So you're the first group I'm gonna call up, okay? But I want to say, Scott, in your group, Scott, you've done an absolutely great job. And I'll tell you, it's been remarkable. Our mom, let me just sort of echo what's been said. When I was with 2-4, we lost about 300 plus young Marines. And the reason I wear this medal, hopefully do it with some grace, is to remember all those Marines who fought and died with the 2-4, 67, 68 era. And that is so important that we remember that. So if you would, just bow your head for a moment and let's remember Ryan. Thank you very much. And unfortunately, if you go up to the monument up at Quantico, we have the names of all the people from Marines and sailors from 2-4 who got killed in combat. And every time I walk by there, I remember what it is to be a magnificent bastard. And I'll tell you what, you guys and wonderful ladies who are the wives and daughters and whatever of these guys are part of an organization is just renowned, absolutely renowned for what it is. And really, if you search the history, as I'll discuss in just a moment, you will find out how special this outfit is. There is no other battalion in the Marine Corps like the Magnificent Bastards, let me tell you. And General Hellerbrun, let me say welcome to you. It's good to have a coon-ass here. And the reason I can call him a coon-ass, I spent 14 years in New Orleans, and so I became a glorified, indoctrinated coon-ass. But you go back and you look at the history of the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, not only from the combat side, but from the leadership side. Would you believe we've had 3 commandants, Cates, Kelly, and Mundy, from the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. We've had numerous generals. John Allen is another 4-star. A lot of great generals and a lot of great leadership that's come out of this outfit. But the most important thing that's come out of 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, the Magnificent Bastards, is we know how to fight. And I'll tell you what, 2-4, and I knew in the 2-4 with these great Marines from Ramadi and other areas in the Marine Corps have never lost a fight. We always fight and win. And when we go down range, we got two things we'll worry about. Getting the mission done and taking care of one another. That's been our hallmark forever. Get the job done and take care of one another. You know, I was doing a little research today, and I was talking to Scott, and I got the real surprise of my life. I didn't realize Chesty Puller was the battalion commander for 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. He was the battalion commander for a couple of months during World War II. And the other guy that I always reflect back on, other Bill Weiss, my battalion commander, I'll talk about in just a moment, was Bull Fisher. That's where you got the name the Magnificent Bastards. They went to Vietnam early during the war, and let me tell you something about 2-4. You know the last guys out of Vietnam during frequent wind? The last Marine infantryman, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, under George Slade. So we were there from the beginning to the end. So that's your legacy. And all these Marines that are serving and continue to serve, and I looked at a couple of them, and I mentioned at Jim Williams' funeral. I was at Jim Williams' funeral, who was with me in 67, 68. Jim had a hotel 2-4. And as I saw him in that casket, and I got to say this, he and I got in a bad fight together against the NBA back in early 68. And I looked around, and here's this guy coming up my left flank with an entrenching tube. I said, Jimmy, what the hell are you doing? I said, we were going down range, Livingston. I said, well, I'm going with you, I guess. So I grabbed my 45, and here's Jim Williams, 2 company commanders charging the NBA. And I said, oh, Jim, that just reflects back on me. But you had some great guys like you had, Jerry Vargas. You had General Weiss. And General Weiss, if you don't know, not aware of, passed about 6 or 7 months ago. And another great warrior was shot at the Battle of Dido. The Sergeant Major was killed. But I reflect on what we did, and I reflect on what the Ramadi Marines did. And I look at the contrast. And I tell you what, every time I read about the Ramadi, read Scott's book about Echo at Ramadi, I tell you, it's remarkable when I see the contrast between those two fights. The good thing about the spirit of the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, it will never end. Because we're Marines going through, we love our Corps, we take care of our Corps, and through this foundation, we continue to take care of one another. So that's what we talked about last night. The foundation and taking care of one another, it functions like this. So to all of you, Sarah Jones, me, my wife, it's been our absolute pleasure to be here. You guys from Ramadi, you got the baton, don't screw it up.